Hello, everybody. Welcome to Makers and Breakers. We've got guests tonight, Matt McClanahan, Brendan Joyce. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
I'm all right.
Good, yeah.
So, you guys are into film. That's your thing. So how did you guys meet? I mean, I've known you guys for years, but I don't think we've ever fleshed this out.
Okay. Maybe do you have a different story of how we met than I have?
No, it's the I harassed you about the camera. Story.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's the same.
It's the same story.
So did you guys know each other? Like, how long have you known each other now?
We've known each other since 2008, summer of 2008. That's when we first met. So
We're coming up on 11 years.
Yeah, about
now.
11 years. 11 years. 11 years strong. Yeah, bummer. But we met through Montgomery County Community College. I was on my way out. Matt was on his way into the college. That summer, I was helping with the technical services and like the film department. Me and my buddy Brett, we just kind of ran like equipment out of tech services. I was doing like a lot of like the asset building for the Buzz, which is like their in-house TV program, and it was orientation. And Matt over here,
young buck Matt
Matt comes up to me, and so I'm out in the quad with one of our cameras. I believe it was a Panasonic HVX 200. It was
either that or it was one of the newfound P2 cameras.
Yeah, it was a P2 camera.
Yeah.
You were very curious.
I was very curious.
When I see this man with dashing long hair, glasses, and a mustache. This young kid.
Wait, you were rocking all that back in the day?
Okay, so quick side story. The look that you see now is the mature version of the look I rocked at the end of high school. So like I did this weird metamorphosis thing that went nowhere, where I started with long hair and a mustache, and then went in community college, I shaved it all off, and I'm like, I'm gonna just look normal for a while, and I looked like a horrible, shitty Brad Pitt for a while, and then.
You're like, normal's not me.
It didn't work out. And then I started working, and you'll probably learn about this later, at this drive-in theater that just reverted me back into my crazy hobo tendencies. And now I'm back, but more insane than ever.
Oh man, full power.
But he was asking a lot of technical questions about the camera. I the thing with myself when it comes to filmmaking or any sort of tech stuff, I know like. Nowadays, I'm a lot better with the terminology. I'm one of those guys that just looks at it and just does it for some reason. It's just one of those things. I can pick up a camera, not know the entire terminology, but be doing the things that I'm supposed to do with a camera. And he came up to me and was just bombarding me with all this terminology and stats and asking about all these facts. And it got to a point where I was like, okay.
So. Wait, so where did you come into the picture here with all this terminology and stats and figures and specs on this equipment?
So I was in a video club in our high school. We had a local like public cable program called SATV, Souderton Area Television. I was a member of that club, and you would create content for broadcast locally. And so I would videotape football games. I would create public service announcements. And since I was insane, I was one of the most involved people there. And I was really into it. So I just loved – I wanted to make movies. That's like my big drive was I wanted to make movies. I wanted to tell stories. This was like a news outfit. So I was a little bit of a misfit there. But it taught me a lot of technical background. It made me understand the basics of white balance and neutral density filters and, f-stops and all that stuff that at the end of the day, they're just numbers and stats. But to me at the time, they were really important because it was new information and I was trying to do things right. And when I saw Brendan at orientation, because I was about to go into school with that camera that I'd never seen before, I wanted to know everything about it. Especially because I had just gotten a camera myself. And so I was just like, doing this kind of dumb dick measuring thing where I'm like, oh, I got this camera, like compared to this camera, see if mine's better.
Oh, God. There was a lot of that.
There was a lot of that.
But we were, I think for most of the year, After that, we would see one another around the hallways of Montco. I was done working with our college like communications video production club, Cap G. He was more the new face of it. He was running it with some other students, and we were kind of like satellites, just orbiting one another. Like we knew of each other, but we never really worked together. And it wasn't until that summer, that following summer, about a year later, that we ended up working together. We both took a summer filmmaking class where we had we made this 30-minute short featurette, I would say.
Yeah.
And all the students in the class had to pitch for this filmmaking class. And thankfully, my pitch won out of all the students, and I was able to become the writer-director of this film called The Stranger. And thankfully, Matt was chosen as the composer as well as our AC. You're ACAD pretty much.
AC second AD. So I was assistant to Harry, who was the assistant director, and I was the AC. So I would like clean the lenses and do the equipment maintenance. So all the goofy technical stuff. That's what I was doing, and just making sure the equipment was running for the DP as well as Brendan.
Okay. So how did that go? Like,
How
How
was
the project?
It was a great experience. We shot for The Stranger. Just kind of to give a very short synopsis. It's an urban western that takes place in Philadelphia in the Kensington section of Philadelphia. So, talking about gritty Philadelphia mixed with a little bit of that Eastwood spaghetti western in it. We shot for about like a week straight with some pickups proceeded the next 2 months, maybe a day or two here, a day or two there. Matt was always so there was always like this core group of people when it came to decision making, and it was myself because director, writer, Harry, who was the head producer, Jerry, who was kind of like a mentor. He was also the production designer. He was lending us his space to use as a place that we can shoot out of, store our equipment, kind of like a home base. And then Matt, who was
there,
who was Shatter and Harry, but like every time we came up to like an impasse where like, how do we do this shot? How can we like figure this out? Matt always had these tremendous suggestions. And that's what I think we gravitate towards one another because, Matt's a very passionate guy when it comes to filmmaking. I'm incredibly passionate, I believe. And
yes, you are.
Thanks. Thank you for that. But we're incredibly passionate filmmakers, and we both have a lot of really good ideas, and we're there. And he was there, I was there, and we just hit it off. And especially when it came to post-production, he was one of my main go-to guys, especially as a composer. You look at these like feature films with Spielberg with John Williams or something like. There's a really close relationships on Bonds. I'm not saying we're Spielberg and John Williams.
Right. So, what made him stand out? What makes Matt stand out? Because I've heard some of his music. I know. I like it.
Matt has, as far as composer, you mean, or just as
composer?
I think Matt has this really good. He's able to like this self-reflection. Some people just kind of like. Listen to something and then they try to like copy it. I think there's this like self-inflection, like he kind of digs down deep within things that he pulls from himself. And he also has like tremendous taste in music. He's pretty much a child of the 80s. Tangerine Dream, synth. We both have the same taste in that sort of music, I grew up on films from the 80s. I love Tangerine Dream, synth music, so we just gelled that way.
Okay. All right. So, Matt, what drew you to continue working here with Brendan?
He kept making movies, and he's cool. So the two things that I like cool people, and I like movies. So it kind of was one of those things where Brendan Brendan is older than me, and. He was a seasoned veteran going into something that I was very new to, a whole world. Because, this is like year one of college for me. And even though it's community college, it's a totally different universe from something like high school. And to have someone who's there, who knows the ropes, who's been around the block at that place and understands how everything works. And then for them to be your friend and just show you how everything works is awesome. It was a great opportunity for me. And that's a bond that you know I'm always thankful for, because that is really, it's because of people like Brendan that I succeeded the way I did in college, because they got my start. They showed me the ropes, and they took me under their wing, and you know they let the assistant camera make shot suggestions, which you know is great.
Right. No, that's good. That's good. So what was next? What was the next big project? Like, where did you guys go from there?
For myself personally, I did a feature film after that. We were, it's a personal friend of ours, Sean, Justin, Glenn, and Matt's as well. We worked on a feature film together. And then, I just kind of started, went to Temple, took some time away from college, and then just was making films on the side. And I think it was around 2011, 2010 that myself and Matt kind of circled back around to one another and started working on Demon Stone.
Oh, Demon Stone. Yo.
Yeah. Because we didn't, after The Stranger, we kind of like split off to our separate like sort of posses of people.
We parted ways.
Yeah.
There was drama, as is, in those times.
Young 20-somethings.
Yeah, we're passionate young men with fire in our bellies.
Right?
Around 2010, 2011, we just reconnected, and we just started talking, and some people we knew were gearing up to make a feature film. We were like, well, we should make a feature film or a film of some sort.
Your film? What about our film?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, right. But yeah, we were thinking about. I think what happened was we met up at a diner. It was myself, you, and Paul Vitus. So another mutual friend of ours, and we were talking ideas.
Yeah, so it just kind of was this back and forth bounce at this diner, the American Star Diner. Shout out, birthplace of many movie ideas. I have to add, and like critical hangout spot back in community college. That along with I don't know if it's still the Double T Diner anymore, if it changed names.
I think it might be Blue. They're just calling it Bluebell Diner now.
Oh,
yeah, it's kind
it's not the same.
It's not
Boo, boo.
Oh.
Anyway, so it was one of those things where it kind of Brendan and I had just kind of like gotten back together, caught up with each other, because Brendan was out in Temple making films, and while he was out there, I was still at Monco working to graduate, and I kind of like really started spearheading the film stuff at Cap G, which was predominantly news-oriented, like my high school program was, but I was really pushing film. I was really pushing the narrative, the storytelling. I really wanted to do that. And so we're both kind of on these separate tracks, but when we kind of got back together, I was just wrapping up Monco. He was just getting back in the Temple, and it was just that sweet spot where we were both jonesing to make a movie. And it came down to just one late night at a diner and deciding, let's write a script. Here's a concept. I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to have a couple beers and write a movie. And Demon Stone.
And that was it. That's how it took off.
We kind of went through like two other ideas beforehand, like more like hardcore 80s sci-fi adventure ideas. Some involved robots, some involved parallel dimensions. It was two very ambitious ideas.
I will say we beat Stranger Things. I'm not gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it.
There were some ideas that we came up with.
Yeah,
well, I think Netflix might be telepathic.
Yeah.
Oh man,
they beat us to it. But I think it was one night we were talking. We kind of hit like a wall. We just moved off of our second idea, and we're like, we just need to do something. And we were both fans of horror films from the 80s now. And there was a film years ago I saw as a kid called Fright Night, which I loved. And they were just coming with that crappy remake that summer. And I guess it just was in my mind. I'm like, yeah, check out Fright Night, Matt, because you showed me the stone that you found. And you're like, this would be cool to make a movie around.
Yeah. There's this haunted rock that I have. It's just like a you'll see it if you watch Demon Stone. It's like a little granite stone face. And
wait, that existed before the movie?
Yeah. I found that as a kid.
That's insane.
I
thought that was a prop for the movie.
No, I've had that forever. I still have it. Tiny side story. Back in like elementary school, my best bud at the time, we were hanging out at his house. He lived kind of